So thank you everyone who has come here in person and online. Very much appreciated. And thank you for battling the with basketball, I assume, traffic. So today we're going to talk about, this is the southern half of the meeting and also an update for the Harford Road transit improvements and Cycleway extension. Purpose. We'll talk about the purpose and background of this project, the current conditions on Harford Road, including some recently collected speed data, some updates on the design concepts, an update from the FAQ from last meeting, and then a question and answer period where we can, take comment and question. So just why in general are we building facilities like this through Baltimore, right? It's more of a people-focused design to provide multimodal access. So even despite the name, right, you can walk, scoot, bike, roll on it. It helps with increasing connectivity on multiple forms of transportation rather than just like auto-focused methods. And right, it's to help also build safety, so we see general better safety outcomes in these facilities or in corridors with these facilities. Again, just kind of talking about this project in particular. So right, we're capitalizing on increasing safety on the Harford Road corridor, increasing that access for MTA users, pedestrians, so on and so forth, and then also creating more access to local amenities and parks by making those connections easier through multimodal transit. Just looking at a project map, so right, this is to build a facility on the north side of Harford Road, going from St. Lo to Erdman Drive. It will also include improvements to 3 MTA bus stops, and again, helps kind of create a multimodal connection with schools, parks, and all. So again, just looking at the local connections, we're hoping to increase access to. You have this school, you have Montebello, which is part of an Inspire plan. Mervo, right, you have a lot of local schools in general. There's also local shops and other amenities north and south of this corridor. And then also plenty of parks and trails and green space in this corridor. So connect. Also just on a bigger map, so right, Baltimore's trying to create a multimodal network. So this takes part in connecting facilities that go from the county line all the way to current existing, and then it would bridge the gap so that eventually with another project on Washington Street, this east side would have full north-south access from the waterfront all the way to county line, and then could tie into east-west facilities such as Monument Street that could then take people downtown or eventually further west in Baltimore, again, north-south within downtown. So now we'll look at, what we, Baltimore City DOT, are looking at on Harford Road right now. What are the current conditions? So just starting with configuration, right? This, obviously Harford Road, even through this section, has multiple changes, right? There's maybe more turn lanes. There's, there's still some cross-sectional differences, but typically you have 2 travel lanes and then a parking. This is just an aerial view, right? 2 travel lanes and a parking. So looking at that safety perspective, we just pulled more recent crash data and took a look at that. So right, a lot of the crashes are concentrated at intersections. There are some on the north lane. Right, we have 11 on the northbound lane, and then there's 3 of those are non-motorist injuries, so that could be like pedestrians or bicyclists if they are crossing the road or something. And then again, it's concentrated in intersections. So it can depend on, so 11 northbound and then 3 non-motor. So yeah, that's sometimes hard. Like when we pull it from a dashboard, that's all like police reporting and all. Right, some of that could just be purely intersection related. So you could have northbound stuff and intersection. So I was looking mostly for this slide at northbound just to see like, hey, are we having more bumper to bumper collisions? Like maybe someone's in the parking lane and they're getting sideswiped, but this is kind of showing that, hey, there's still mostly at intersections. So good question. So this is looking at speed data. So just the way we collect this, we use what's called a speed sentry shield. It looks kind of like a black 1x1 square. And you may see them in other neighborhoods. They can actually have like, this is your speed, and then it highlights in yellow, like, hey, you're going at this speed. What we did for this project is we put in quote unquote stealth mode. So we turn off that lighting ability, and then we remove the this is your speed sign. So it's just, we call it like a discrete methodology of gathering speed. This is on the southern half of this project corridor, so towards below Hillen Street, so between St. Lo and Hillen. And what we're seeing here is this green line, right, is your speed limit, or what we would say as a transportation organization, your target speed. We want people more going that speed. And then the red line is what's 85th percentile. So 85% of all drivers are going at that speed or below it. And then you have 15 that might be going above it. Right? It's kind of trying to move out the fringes and see what are most people driving at. And what we usually view as acceptable is anything that's 10 above the speed limit or 5 below. So we're trying to hit, again, it's a target speed. We want to get you as close to the speed limit as possible with what we put in here, or the way we configure the roadway, but you do have some range within there, what's acceptable. But what this is showing us is, hey, most people are pretty close to that. There may be 5 above on average through an entire daily average. And then if you look at where your peak commuting times between 7 and 7, they're hitting that target speed. That's generally good, right? And I think that still aligns with what we're proposing for the corridor in this section. But then looking after Hillen Street, right, the speeds jump. So now we're seeing closer to 40 or over. Sorry, that's considered speeding. If you think about like a radar system, you're going to get a ticket when you go 12 over, right? So not a good result. So yeah, we could benefit from the road diet here by reducing speeding overall. And you can see throughout the time of day that there is speeding going on. So it's not like, okay, we have some peak hour target speed, and then at nighttime you're getting speeding. This is speeding generally throughout the course of the day. Oh, yeah. So September 16th to that's November 6th. And we still have them recording because, right, like things do change with the seasons and the schools coming in and out. So we'll continue collecting this data and analyzing it, and then maybe even some post data collection, right, just to make sure, hey, people are still having pretty good access to the corridor. So now we're going to talk about our proposed designs, what are we be installing here now that we've looked at the current configuration. So we're going to just start with materials. So right, we're going to build a multimodal facility that's going to have some protection. We're going to use some precast concrete parts. We call these pills. I mean, they literally look, they're the part circled in red, right? They just look like a pill. And then we'll have some flex posts. We understand, right? Like these are not attractive material. Flex posts are not a attractive material. They're also not, they're like a high maintenance item, right? People can run them down, then they look degraded. So we're trying to minimize the use of it. Yeah, we would agree they're not, pretty adequate. So we want to minimize the use of that. We still need to provide some vertical delineation, right? So people can kind of have like an eye height spotting, but that's why we're going to intersperse these materials. So we'll have, a pill and then later on a flex post and a pill and trade off. So it minimizes that use of the flex post, provides adequate protection, and then also, right, is aesthetically more pleasing and also like a higher grade facility. Along with that, for our bus stops, right, we're going to put in bus bulbs. This is an example from Baltimore Street. It's pretty much a jetty out where people have a level boarding platform, so the bus doesn't have to swerve in and out of the travel lane, keeps them, going straight. And we'll show one actually on here. So this is one on Kentucky Avenue, just up on Harford on the side. So right, this is an example of one that might be installed or similar to. And again, the emphasis here is that you have a place where people can level board from the bus, so the bus isn't moving in and out of traffic as much, so it reduces your conflict points, right? There's not as much chance to come out of a stop and get sideswiped. And then it can help also just with the speed of boarding in general, because instead of, again, pulling off and dealing with the conflicts and pulling off, you can just offload at that stop and keep going.
So it would reduce. Yep, one parking and then two probably go around. It would be bus.
Yeah, block the traffic.
So yeah, right, there is a trade-off there. First of all, right, you're not supposed to park in bus stops.
Well,
So,
I mean,
yeah,
just the lane in general, it would take.
Aren't they gonna, like, the bus would be in the regular people?
yeah, bus would be in the regular travel lane.
Just go
Okay.
around it.
According to that.
Yeah, so on this section, probably not. So,
That would be.
Saying it's on where that is.
or that is in particular, yeah, and we can come back to this slide once we hit Q&A. So, yeah, good question. Hold on to it. So, awesome. So this is just an example of like a before and after, right, of how these can be effective, especially for pedestrian crossings. And right, we have Montebello and Reach here. So you can see in the before picture, right, there's a crossing distance of 50 feet. So if you think about, you know, how much you have to cross, how fast you have to be crossing that to be safe, it's a lot more effort, especially for kids and all. So adding in, you know, these bus well facilities and facilities like we're proposing reduces that crossing distance. So then you can access the other side of the road quicker. There's less travel lanes that that person is crossing, so it reduces risk and conflict points. So now we're going to just go through the role map. So this is the design section that we've come up with. This is starting at St. Lo, going north. And then for the previous meeting, right, we had some community questions. We're highlighting those in bold and underline. So we just can, you know, be cognizant of that. Going up from St. Lo, right, we have the first bus ball and just our normal aggregate facility. There was a question if we wanted to put flex posts around Fenwick Ave to kind of help illegal left turns into there. There was a no to that, so we're noting that. As we go to, this is Fenwick and Hillen, right? We have our other bus stop and then continued facility up. Going to 30th Street. So right, this is where we began our road dieting section. This is also where we had all the speeding. So we're proposing a parking lane here, both based on community input and feasibility of the facility. And that would again also preserve parking that is existing. And then we would have the multimodal facility going up. And then at intersections, so right, you're not really supposed to park in front of intersections, and also we need to create breaks to prevent people from speeding around or using the parking facility as a roadway facility. So we are going to have interstitial breaks with material to prevent that. And then we are looking to partner with DPW, see if we can turn this into a green stormwater infrastructure and provide, you know, greenery for the area. So this is a continued roll from 30th, 32nd Street. So again, aggregate design. And then at the end of the parking, right, we'll have a cap, and this will also serve as a bump out. So again, kind of similar to the bus wall that we saw on Kentucky Ave, helping reduce that crossing distance for the people going to Montebello. So there is, from where?
From where? There's a park. So nobody lives on this.
Yeah, so there's a bus ball, right? We do have high ridership at this stop, 2,000 people. And so, right, this is a main bus stop for both getting to the school and then connecting people from the community to this area. So, right, this will be probably the main focus of building out the bus facility, or, you know, making sure improvements are done here. And again, trying to help with that crossing into the area. And then we are going to shut down the meeting a little bit at the end just to help align the roadways that are existing, because even now, right, it's a little off So this will help.
Yeah, or
Yeah, at
whatever.
Urban. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So just trying to align that better with the existing facility, both in travel lanes and
There's
all
no
that.
buses that need to make that turn.
Yeah, yeah. It's
Turn
pretty hard.
Thing that you go, it's very. Like,
Yeah.
there's like like the bus has to be slain.
This whole intersection is horrible. Continue.
Yeah. So I mean, as you can see, we're removing that turn, the bump out essentially. We might have some pain just to kind of provide guidance.
Instead of
But,
route.
yeah. Okay. Timeline. So right, we had our first meeting in October. We're having our second meeting, right now today. Then we'll look at finalizing the design this winter or early spring, and then looking at install by fall 2026. And then depending on like if we have, VG&E or something come in that then modifies, like, they're going to do their work and then we'd have to go in after them. So awesome. All right, we're going to do a quick rundown of the FAQ that was just came from the previous meeting. So again, just emphasizing materials, right? We have the pills. We're going to minimize use of flex posts, but we still need a vertical delineation. And then, right, the bus bulbs will be poured concrete. And this is just to emphasize, right? I think last time someone was asking about Jersey barriers, we're not doing that, right? We understand that there's aesthetic impacts, there's community impacts. We're not, yeah, no, not going with that. So, right, the pills are kind of, this is adequate protection while also increasing aesthetics and not relying on an inadequate material. Oh, sweet. Yeah. And just in case, these are on the FAQ. So these are on the website via the FAQ. This, yes, they're not going to have all the pretty pictures in the presentation, but the text responses will also be there.
What's the website?
That is the Streets of Baltimore page for Harford Road. So, yeah. So we are looking at getting specific street cleaners for these facilities. Yeah. Yeah.
No, because there's a, I think you all post everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
So what happened is because the street cleaner doesn't come, they catch those
Hmm.
small versions of big weeds.
Yeah.
Quickly, like they usually do on regular streets, they become trees.
Mhm.
And that is not the view that people had wanted of the park. So like, like street cleaning not happening, like even during COVID when we weren't street cleaning.
Yeah.
We ended up having all these weeds breaking into the concrete because they were growing. They're not getting swept. Getting something that can sweep there, but actually
Okay,
doing
yeah.
be incredibly important because once they get root, trust me, I'm the person who does the ones on my corner.
Yeah.
I go out, they got, so they're too thick in the root wise, I can't pull them out.
Yeah.
And the street sweeper will go around them now because they're so big.
That's
So
kind of
aside
great.
from
Yeah.
the view part, I'm an actual bike rider. So riding through these places, they're not kept. Like better off just riding in traffic because it's really
Yeah,
really
you
not
can get
safe for
like,
you to go through the dirt, the mud, or
yeah.
that's where all the debris goes from the road.
Yeah.
Great comments, but hold on to it. We'll get there.
Okay, yeah.
Never
We
mind.
can, yeah. So bus stops, street sweeping, because can add a little more there. Well, yeah, Q&A. There's requests, right, to extend to 25th Street. Right now, we're not looking at that. We may consider as like a phase 2 if there's interest post 2027. But right now we're focused on for this quarter getting to the CSX build, and also right, I think right the school is getting a stadium upgrade pretty soon, so letting that construction go through before we consider another section, and monitoring the effects of this and seeing what happens. Safety benefits. So, right, we do see general improvements in safety here or in facilities like this throughout the city. So our planning department envisioned 0 planner did a bulk data analysis of citywide statistics versus what we would call complete streets facilities. So you can see this in like Maryland, Monument, and select other corridors. And in general, we are seeing improvements. So, code crashes beats out citywide statistics by a little bit. Okay, fair. But when you look at fatalities, severe injuries, and just injury crashes, these facilities do outperform. So there is a safety aspect to installing these. Just talking about like, hey, we're talking about road diet here. How do we generally determine that? There are a lot of ways we can do that. So just from the geometric standpoint, right, design guides from whether it's the federal government, professional societies like ASHTO and NACTO to do the actual geometries. And then in terms of traffic flow, right, in this project, we're looking at speed data. So that's not necessarily like the traffic count and level of surface analysis, but we're looking at, hey, are people hitting their target speeds? And different corridors, right, we might use different tools that are more related to specific traffic counts or, doing like a model analysis. So that's, good for general information of just how do we approach these problems, and then specifically what are we looking at. And actually, so this is the Speed Shield Sentry advertisement image. So, right, what we have on Harford Road right now are 2 of these, and we would have the orange text again blocked out and the sign removed. So. All right, Q&A real quick. And then, hey, if we don't get it, you can email us, the Department of DOT, awesome. DOT engagement, and then also visit the Streets of Baltimore page. You can leave a question or a comment and it goes directly to us. So, yeah. And I guess we can start with, let's say you had the bus question, so.
I had a couple questions, all reference to schools.
Awesome.
Okay.
Sure, yeah.
You have to give them
In reference to schools, specifically, Reach, I don't think any other of the schools you mentioned hit Harford Road exactly, but I know kids go back and forth or travel. Have you considered the impact that it has during morning entry when kids are coming to school, as well as when kids are leaving, and then for events like this, and how that affects parking and or just the flow of traffic? And then just to add to that, also, especially for our high schools, we have buses that are specifically geared to our kids, and they sit and wait for the kids to get out for a period of time. So is that considered in this?
Yeah. So, Eric, are you getting this online? Is it coming up online too?
just ask them.
Okay, cool. Well, I'll continue. So, I start generally. So the other school that would be most directly impacted is Montebello, and for Reach, it's kind of hard because it's like just like we would consider this an important location in terms of access, but it's not necessarily directly impacted by the project because we're picking up after St. Lo. So we're not necessarily looking exact, like usually circulation plans are even more local than that. You want to go louder? Is this good? Okay, cool. For Montebello, we're mostly looking at that one bus, the third bus stop by Erdman. Yes, we're not looking necessarily on like what their circulation plan for Hillel or South Hartford is, but we do know that a lot of people, and also like we have the Inspire plans that we're looking at, so those kind of dictate like this is a walking hour, right? Like this is where kids are coming to and fro generally. So we are looking at that, and actually, if I may plug you, Patrick, we do have a Inspire, our person who was part of our Inspire planning program here. So that is also big like thing we're looking at too is how are the installer routes being impacted, and especially with like the MTA bus connections. And yeah, and like yes, generally there are other projects we have with schools that if they're going for school frontage directly, we're going to ask for their circulation plans to see if they at least be cognizant of what we're in. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, and you guys had, do you have an extra one and you want to be street sweeper?
I'm
Yeah.
doing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Wait until we do
Oh, I
this
had-
five questions.
Okay, we're gonna, I think,
Please, I break the snow. People say it's hard.
after you, we'll go to an online.
Yeah.
All right, is that my vote? Okay, so my first question is, bus bump out that you have at St. Low and Harford.
Yes.
Let's talk, that, so that's a bus bump out, we're taking the lanes.
Or it would be integrated.
So the bus will stop, in the next lane, right, the lane to the left of it.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, middle lane. So then the left, right now, currently Harford Road, okay, Hillary, comes a turn, two turn lanes at Hillary.
Yeah.
You're creating a huge traffic jam right there. Because the bus will stop for people to get on. And then the cars will try and go around. Then they'll find out they're in a lane that's turn only. And both of these lanes right now, the middle and the left, are turn only lanes.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to get over to the far right in order to go straight down our road. Have you been there? Tried it?
Yeah, I've been. Yeah.
Yeah, so I know that back we asked for the second turning lane to go away because that had been agreed because bridge. It has been now 2 years since we've had the second turning lane. So there,
Yeah.
if you're proposing bus bump out, we're gonna take the whole parking lane, whatever. Now the bus is stopping in the middle lane. And you've seen the volume of traffic that happens. And what she's saying about the school, this is gonna create absolute havoc. So I think that bus road needs to be reconsidered. In terms of its placement. Because right now, you're just creating a traffic nightmare because people will go around it and end up in a turn only lane and then cut back over. So
I see.
you see what I mean? So Tivoli and Fenwick seem that far away, they're not. And Harvard Road is a huge corridor for a lot of people. And they're either gonna go down, or going down Harvard Road, it's, kids get that way. Yeah, so that, I think that we should go back and we should consider it. And take a look at the daytime, come around the time school gets out, find out. Sort of. And then my other, question is regarding the street cleaning.
Yeah.
I'm gonna need you all to have a plan
Mhm.
for an actual street cleaner that comes every week. Because what you're gonna create is a catchment for trash and a catchment for a lot of trees.
Yeah.
Like we have trees, they have babies. They're good, like.
No, yeah, I've been-
During the
yeah.
pandemic, literally, like, we did not realize how important street cleaning was until we didn't have it.
Yeah.
And what ended up happening is this was a root. And so the occasional, we have one machine that sometimes thinks about it. This is our view of art. This is our value on that street. This is the first time this embattled African-American community is actually going to see some value in their homes. We can't strip that because it looks haggard, unkempt,
Mhm.
unthought of, because you put stuff in the way. Does that make sense?
No, yeah, makes.
Okay, and also my third question is, so far as I'm aware, that's a snow emergency route. How does this work? Because I know that when we have a snow, you're not at all.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good series of questions. I think for the first one, yeah, we can look, just to check that impact.
3 o'clock, come.
Yeah, we've
Drive
done
somewhere.
well. I've traveled, I've walked it, I've been here for the studies, and I also know the plants you're talking about. We didn't know that with the drainage gates. So, let's see. Yes, we can just double check that impact. We do have to balance that as an MTA bus stop, right? And
Yes,
yeah,
but
they're
like the bus stop there, then they can be in the lane that they stop and get kids in right now.
yeah. I mean, I understand, right? And there is trade-off still to everything because you still have the bus moving in and out of the traffic lane.
So let me tell you something. You ask anybody to drive that corridor to go to work, what they would prefer? They would prefer to not have to go around a bus and then find out they're in the wrong lane. That is gonna add to crashes.
I mean, again, we have, yeah,
It's just, it literally is a turn lane and that, it comes up on you pretty quick.
yeah.
So from the Alameda all the way up to Urban Avenues, it's a horrible nightmare. First of
Yeah.
all,
Oh,
yeah. So first of all, the entire area from the Alameda all the way up to Urban Avenue is just a horrible nightmare. So what's going to happen is you're going to have to weave. You're going to have to be in this lane for this lane for that, this lane for this. And by the time you get to Urban Avenue, oh my God, I'm in the middle lane. I want to keep going up Harford Road, or I got to go to Urban Avenue, and it's just a huge mess. Now, those of us who actually ride a bike, like we can forget about that. We're just going to die at that point because a lot of people, out of frustration or out of if it's me or you on a bike, I'm sorry, you're on the bike, you're on the ground. That's your problem now. And this is what happens when you start to see the infrastructure that doesn't make any sense happen involved there at the Alameda or the St. Louis Road. No, don't even do that. Don't do it at all. Also, once you get to 32nd Street, don't do that one either because now what's going to happen is people are going to have to change lanes way too much. It's going to cause a lot of confusion, cause a lot of accidents. It's not going to be safe at all. And then just going further up Harford Road, I'm not sure how much of this plan is part of that. Back where they built the bridge, like I said, it's not clean. It's not clean there. So a
Yeah.
lot of times you go there, and sometimes we have to go out to regular traffic to avoid branches and other things because nature's going to win. So if we don't stay ahead of nature, it's not going to really be beneficial.
Yeah.
But
Okay. Okay, again, we can look at that stop. Just, I can talk with Grimstall and see what the assessment is. For the street cleaners, I do want to get to that because I agree that is important, right? And that's important just for our facility-wide network, especially if we're going to invest in
you
these.
guys built something that not really many people can use or use safely with the bike. That's a problem.
Yeah, so the planning department is, I'm gonna put this on planning mostly. They do have, they do have in works the purchase of some specific sweepers that they can use. I think very hopefully that can address the trash problem. And I agree, right? We want to keep our facilities nice for all our neighborhoods. So we should be looking at purchasing those. And I can talk to our planning department, get an update and try to, post that information or at least provide that information. And again, if you put in an email inquiry, we can answer that more specifically versus on the page I'm doing, right? I'm answering like, what is the general public seeing? So I guess my saying is if you want to email us on that, we can search it down more for you.
Online question?
Yeah, online question. No problem.
I don't know how far I can go. This.
One question. I was biking the Highland Middle School for one last spring. This extension will have been from here. This safety piece is hoping to work there again. I'm so very happy about this. And the other question, there was a slide map early in the presentation. Where can I find that?
I guess comment noted. Which comment? The map, honestly, I'm blanking on, but generally, if you look at Baltimore City, like bike map or bike network, we should be able to find it, I think, in the first 3 searches. Maybe we can post that on the website Two,
But there's
just so, yeah, so it's like more accessible. You just gotta be careful of like, sometimes there's older maps that come up on Google that are PDF versions. This will be like a GIS Open Maps. You can also go to, I think it's Baltimore Metropolitan Council. Doesn't have the exact map, but they have a map that shows pretty similar detail on facility networks and all. They just use a different color coding scheme and a little bit of a different naming convention scheme. Okay.
here at the back. I apologize for this.
So I just wanted to say I spent a year commuting on this road by bus on the 22. And I actually am very excited to see those bus bulbs. There was the times of my commute lined up exactly with when the kids were getting in and out of school. There's always tons of kids, families, especially in the morning, parents like with their kids. So I definitely think those facilities are needed. And I work as a teacher, and down where I work, we actually had a little girl get grazed by a car recently, crossing a pretty wide road, Patapsco. So, and on my commute, like in the mornings, I would see sort of kids like mad dashing across Harford Road to get to the bus stop because it was coming and different things like that. So anything that helps to shorten that gap, I think will help to make it safer for the kids. So I'm happy about that. And I know Alameda and Hartford and up by the Montebello School, those are really high traffic bus stops. So I think
Yeah.
from the perspective of a bus commuter, I'm happy about that. And the facilities are just nice and more professional when you have those bulbs. So yeah, so I just wanted to say I'm excited to see the piece.
Okay. So I hear in the back. You want to respond?
Sure. Thank you for your comment. It's noted. I guess just in general for people online and in person, if you have a comment, right, we note it, it's recorded, and then we will post this online. So just, like, we're not going to always respond to those, but appreciate that.
We largely agree with the gentleman lady here about West Bowl. It's definitely going to cause jockeying, people trying to pull into the other lane to get around it, which is a byproduct of having multi-lane each direction road. I also understand what your purpose for that is and the MTA's purpose, and that's to improve the safety and the speed, the service time of the buses. I have no idea how you would compromise and solve both of those things. Obviously, there is a problem with kids getting off the bus there and trying to cross the street there. Having 10-foot shorter crossing distance there is definitely better, particularly for school kids. But I don't know what you would do. So I see both perspectives. As far as the street sweeping is concerned, 100% agree with that. I bike up Harford Road, bike lane, bike up like every bike lane in the city. I have never gotten more flats in a single bike lane than Harford Road. And the debris in the lanes are so bad that one time I was riding on the Harford Road Bridge and there was a literal screen door in the bus and bike lane right between them. To the point, I just ride in the southbound bus lane, riding across the bridge at this point. There's literally always glass and debris. We have street sweepers. I don't know why it's not a regular thing here. I've complained to Ryan Dorsey. If he's ever seen it, 311 did. I have no idea if they ever do that. St. Louis is also a problem with glass as well, but not to the degree that Harford Road is. One question that I may have missed. The difficult, from a biker's perspective, the difficult portion right now is when you're at the end of the St. Louis bike lane, you want to make a right to turn north on Harford Road.
Yeah.
How are we? Because that's generally a difficult crossing.
Yeah, and I guess first part noted, the comments, and as these two have requested, we'll look into that, see where, if we can find a better balance with the bus stop, multimodal facility in those terms. And for the crossing, I mean,
Now you have a
Where,
bus stop.
so our, oh, where do you,
That's the reason why I don't want the bus bulb there is because now people who are riding bikes, we have to figure out what to do without dying. And then a lot of times when you're on your bike, you don't have that much time to make a decision. There's no buffer between that, the very beginning of this, and all the way at Urban Avenue. There's really, I don't know what you do, when you, especially coming southbound down, Harford Road, when you're coming into town, like what do you do when you get to Urban Avenue? Because got people that's been waiting for to turn for the longest time that want to hurry up and turn. You can't really just go across. You can't go across traffic. What do you do when you get to southbound coming down Harford Road? When you get to Urban Avenue, what does a biker do? So while you're talking about the planning people, where are the execution people? I think everybody in the Department of Transportation should get a bike and just ride up and down Harford Road and try to figure it out.
yeah,
Just a comment. I really appreciate your comments. It's really important, but if you could use the microphone.
oh, yeah, well, I walking. Yeah, I could, okay.
Yeah, just say it. We're good.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm gonna try to digest to what I'm getting is like, how are we doing the crossings? And then I guess, how are we navigating the conflicts with the bus bulbs? Is that right? Or just the,
South on Hartford and hitting Erdman, right?
yeah.
Where did that start?
Oh, you're talking about here, sorry.
You're saying the bus bulbs are dangerous.
Turn
Good question.
St. Louis onto.
Turning off of St. Louis Drive and bus bulbs.
Yeah, let's go there real quick.
Now, even,
Okay.
so starting at the bus bulbs. So
Mhm.
once they get down to either mostly going southbound. Southbound is probably going to be the hardest part because now you're at opposing traffic. So if you're coming down, because the bike lane is only on the northbound side. So what does a biker do once they get there? Because eventually it becomes a whole legal issue of where a bike should be, because technically you're half vehicle, half pedestrian. That's going to turn to a whole nother subject. So now what exactly do we do? Now, I guess the official bike route is to go through Clifton Park. But even that's not all that clear. I'm not sure where you had to go.
Mhm.
But going back towards
Said Erdman, right? Yeah.
so once we get to this section up here, on the northbound of Harford Road, where the bike lanes, so you're coming down Harford Road from Lake Montebello and all that. So once you get here, you have to make a decision, and it's a life or death decision once you get here on the bike, because whether this light is turned or this light is turned, all these people waiting to turn, we don't care about you on the bike. So now all of a sudden you can't. This isn't there yet.
Yeah.
There. So once you get here, this just stops. So right now you can't really go anywhere. Luckily, it'll still make a lot of sense to keep going. But once you get here, now you have to decide what to do because the bus bulb is there in order to be able to continue on. So you have a bus bulb, but now all of a sudden, where does a biker go? For those
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So.
It's like one and negative, yeah, waiting right up in.
Yeah. Thank you for the.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for the.
That's what that picture is hard to see.
Oh, okay. So it's a bulb with a brand.
Yeah. So how can we bring people?
Okay, like they have it up there, I guess Cold Spring or Moravia up there. Okay.
Yeah. So sorry for the confusion. This would be a two-way facility, so you would use this going southbound too. And yeah, the bus bulbs will have a ramp, so they will be slightly different than the Kentucky Avenue ones in the sense that like that's an island design. We would say this would be integrated with the marine. So right, like if someone is crossing a bulb to get on a bus, you'll have to yield, and we probably have to put the marquees on there to help with that. It's not highly uncommon for like any facility to have like sharp teeth. That's what we would say to say like yield here, like people are boarding. But yes, you would use this to go southbound, and you would be able to ramp up on the bus stop, like bus bulb, go down. And then for the intersections, right now we are looking at essentially using the pedestrian crossings as a code for safety. So right, we aren't gonna buy like extra signals for it, like specific signals or like specific timing fades. We're gonna use the existing pedestrian phase to allow the crossings. And that's why, when we did signal timing, we chose to do LPI because we know that we have LPI, sorry. LPI is leading pedestrian interval. So right, there's a brief moment where the pedestrians say you go first, they get a clear crossing, and then you have what would be like a yield condition crossing. And then it's full pedestrian stop, and you get the red light. So, right, the LPI kind of helps you navigate that crossing with either minimal or no conflicts, and just get you a head start so you're in the spot and kind of can have that right way. Yeah. So,
We have questions online.
yeah, let's get a question online, and then we'll come to you, sir, after the online.
Thank you for sharing this. I'm very excited for this investment in safety community. Looking forward to walking, driving, biking, and taking the bus off the road. And as Travis says, there does need to be better signs for the right turn only lane.
So, I assume that's for Erdman.
Christine Parker, it would be helpful to see a diagram of the current confusing layout and to be hopefully less confusing layout.
Noted.
Yeah, I guess noted.
What I understand that. I'm sorry about that. So what I think the person online is saying is what to do about the confusion right there. And what I'm thinking is answering her question is having right here at the intersection, let people know, because by the time they get here, oh my God, this is catastrophe right here waiting to happen. Because a lot of people, if you're not familiar, you get lost because now this middle lane actually turns. And this becomes a bike lane, but then that's the only lane that goes straight, but it kind of merges right there. So are you guys going to address that part?
So you're talking about adding more markings to that. So you're coming off 32nd or you're going up 32nd, and right, even existing, right, it's the right turn lane, and then yeah, like you can be pinched or
We
something.
won't know until halfway to the block, and then I see a lot of confusion right there at pretty much where the bus boat projection is.
Mm-hmm.
You plan on that's where you know that you got to turn right here.
Yeah, I think we can
So
definitely.
if you let them know, pretty much probably at the next lane or either at the light, right at the light, or somewhere to let people know that this lane is going to turn way ahead of where it's actually going to tell us to turn.
Yeah, I could look at the signage for that, and I mean, road markings we can definitely put down, right? That's essentially a paint or truly melt into the asphalt. So I think that's very feasible to look at adding like more of advanced warning, and then I'll have to consult our road signage guidelines to see what we can do for like a pre-warning. So, okay.
Gentlemen with the hat. Did you have something you wanted to say?
Yes, I mean,
You mind speaking on the microphone?
you want my voice occurred.
All right, you have to project.
Okay. The thing that I'm sitting here listening to everything that you're saying, and one thing that you're doing everything on paper, which is valuable, but what you're missing is the human factor. And like we're talking about all the congestion, especially when you come from 32nd on up toward Earth. It is a madhouse once you get to 3rd on toward Earth. No one is going to happen. Because like I said, everything merges. And then you have to take into consideration the people that's waiting to turn, the lanes that they were in, changing the lane from straight to turn, and the feeling, the emotion of those individuals, excuse me, of those individuals that was getting ready to turn and now have to turn, and you're talking about a bike lane, a person that then, oh my God, what's going to happen? We're not dealing with the psychological aspect of those things because everybody is dealing with everything. It's on purpose. It sounds good and looks good on paper, but everything that we're talking about is missing the human factor. And that is very, very important. But we can keep talking about what's going to happen. But I don't know, we haven't talked, I don't know whether anybody got hurt or accidents or how many things have really gone wrong with everything that you're talking about. We're talking about safety. How many people have actually been hurt? We're talking about the smaller area from the children come from one side of the street to the other. How many people have been hurt? Going from that distance. There's a whole lot of demographics that we have to take into consideration when it comes to the human factor. But on paper, it's fantastic.
Do you want to speak to?
Yeah, I
traffic
guess
and
we could.
crash data?
Yeah, I guess I'm gonna separate this into like the how do we design and how do we consider human factors and and the crash data in general. So I guess I'll give how I look at crash data, and right, we had a little snapshot earlier. This is a very brief analysis, so right, this is me trying to just understand at a high level what's going on.
That's what I'm gonna say to.
That's from, let me look. That'd be beginning of 2024 to July 2025. So, right, you have some of this pedestrian, that I would assume pedestrian, the 3 non-motorist injuries. And right, it's kind of hard, at least on this basis, to do that analysis of were they crossing, were they going north, were they going west. So yeah, I can try to look at that a little more, provide a better graphic. And then just noting, right, like a lot of these are at intersections, so it's kind of like, I know the northbound has some southbound, there could be some intersections, and that's not uncommon. We see that a lot with pretty much everywhere. You'll always see intersections having the largest amount of crashes. There are exceptions to that. Intersections are generally where you're going to see a crash. And then kind of going to the human factor. So that is a very difficult question because, right, there's like historically just traffic engineering is not known for that human factor, right? But we do, or at least I, in my designs, do try to consider that a little more. And right, there's definitely different organizations out there, and I would say like kind of more modern look at trying to consider that. So again, there's like roadway geometries, which is, we say AASHTO, and that's really like you're going at 40 miles per hour across a turn. Here's how big that turn needs to be. And there's some human factors in there, like, oh, riding comfort, right? That's really what like we traditionally have based a lot of it on, is just riding comfort. So there's no like, how are you interacting with the roadway, on the walls? Like, we assume you're a robot going the exact speed limit with due diligence to the highest degree. And like, yeah, that's reality. But that's unfortunately how we standardize a lot of our traffic design geometrically. There are more, especially for like urban environments, there's more of a renewal with like NACTO at looking, okay, here is a more humanistic approach on that design. And right, we do see this, like these shortening of crossing distances successful here and then also throughout, up and down the East Coast through the United States. Just anecdotally, right? Like, I have my mother-in-law is on the Council of Aging in her community where she lives, and she sees benefits from the like shorter crossing distances too with her community, because right, like these speeds that we assume a pedestrian cross are an aggregate assumption through all ages and abilities, but doesn't consider specifically seniors. So when we give you 3.5 seconds or 3.5 feet, sorry, per a second to cross, that's a very big assumption across what varies a lot. So, right, this is trying to consider more of those human factors, and a lot of the design we're bringing is to be more human focused rather than just go 45 miles per hour, obey the speed limit, and don't be taxed. So does that help answer the question?
Thank you. I primarily use my bike to get around that area. And so I'm excited at the idea of having safer infrastructure. I do drive there some, but not as frequently, I think, as some of the other folks here. So what I'm wondering is, can you speak to what kind of design elements you add to address the concerns people have raised about the safety for both cyclists and drivers at these intersections, that would make it potentially so that people are less likely to be coming aggressively turning and potentially endangering the pedestrians and cyclists that are using the infrastructure you're designing. So that does seem like a very valid concern. I'm just curious, like, what can you add to this design to actually improve the safety of those intersections and the human factor of how people actually drive in those spaces?
Yeah. A very good question. So I didn't some design guide. Like there are guidances out there, and immediately you're like, I don't know if this would be right. Traditionally, in more urban setting, we use something like bump out, but right, given with the buses and some of the other issues just with the roadway, that would be really hard. Really kind of like summarize it, we'd have to do like a roadway reconstruction, like a major project, not just to put the rest. I think a lot of those, especially at the intersections, and right, there's a lot of ways you could also like dice that. Like when you have a lot of conflict points because you have multiple roads, that just introduces regular humans. Every one of those conflict points is an opportunity for a crash. And when you just have a multi-lane road with, you know, both high speed and high volume, like that's a difficult situation to tackle. So you would have to have that as a bigger project. Right?
You just sound like maybe to help make it actually safe.
Yeah. And I think what we would do for that is we would have to right, we have our Vision Zero program. We are trying to build out and solidify our high injury network, which focuses more on capital-based projects. So we would probably attack it via that way. So a lot of this is trying to get the safety improvements, but also create a network as well, and also address some community, kind of bake in very specific points to come back and do like a major road construction project. Will probably be again addressed on a capital project that we would then prioritize via like a high injury network. So we would look at all the roadways involved. So these are the worst. Because right, like we have roadways with fatalities, we have roadways with
You're saying there's not enough funding for this to add, like, it would have to be a separate project.
Yeah, I think it would be a separate project on
Could you prioritize this area, even if it's not the highest number of crashes, given that you're trying to add infrastructure that puts more cyclists and pedestrians at risk in that space?
Could you come up to the line, please?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, I'm hearing you say that like the changes to the actual way the road is designed at the intersections would be a larger capital project that usually gets prioritized based on where's like the highest number of crashes. Is that right?
Yeah, so we look at like the crash.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so they give like a high injury network per se. So we're looking at like say high crash, and right, these can be weighted to look like, okay, pedestrians and bikes are a little more susceptible to injury because right, you're a squishy person versus a vehicle with like airbags and stuff. So like we can weight those more. There's different ways that every city does this, and it can get very technical, but yes, we look at like that first.
Okay, I just had a question
Yeah.
based on, I was just confirming. Okay, so given that that's what you're talking, I'm just wondering, could you prioritize this area, even if it doesn't meet this like highest number of crashes or fatalities or injuries or however you're measuring, based on the fact that you're adding this infrastructure that's going to create more interfacing between pedestrians, cyclists, like anticipating, looking ahead, even if, like, why wait for there to be, it's like, if you think this actually is going to be a potentially dangerous situation, like these folks are saying, like, could you combine a commitment to capital improvement of these intersections with this pedestrian and cycle infrastructure?
So big answer is like, yes, there is a process, even if it's not on. At least, right, again, the emission zero, so try to eliminate that to zero. So through aggregateness, you're gonna get here eventually. Yes, you would still need like a separate capital project, but we would have this, again, submit that as our capital project process. First, this is already funded. We're still trying to make safety improvements. We're not going to be able to provide like a top tier, like do the whole roadway, right? But we see this a lot. Everything we do is that we can't address every single lane in Baltimore City all at once. We got to do things in phases and in projects. And then it does also provide us opportunity to observe and see it's working, make adjustments, and then build upon that. So, yeah.
And then we'll take another online question.
So I would like to propose that we fields, we go out, we meet with you all, you meet us there at 3:00 school, and we look at what we're doing. And that type of traffic pretty much runs us on 5-6. Because I think that you see it in real life. I've done this with kids. You all see it in real life, you're like, oh, okay. We need to make adjustments. I know you've probably driven, but like your lens is different when you're there. So I would say that that's something that should happen. Because right now, I don't have a problem with bike lanes, especially because I won't really see most of the stuff. That's why I don't know the flex posts, but I'm just doing eventually. It's the black and white ones that they have for the apart.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. The social measure. And a little bit more substantial things in which you want to take a bike lane. Currently, we should like it's so your time you build, so you need like focus. I'm fine with the pillows. I don't want to mess up to use, but I think being out there will give you want to come out, schools get down. And the people are starting to run down the road when you go home. And absolutely before you implement any of this, you need to get rid of this. Because it's like untenable. Because if you go back to your picture, you have one that's like right after Helen Road. This one, that one. Go back. This one.
Yeah,
So
right.
what you failed to show is that there are 3 bike roads on the left-hand lane.
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
Right, like a little bit south.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens is that happens at Helen Road. So when you want to go straight, you've got 2 turning lanes and you've got to chip over. And then you can get into this left lane that you've got to stop. That's not something that's available.
I can like kind of see.
Yeah, so like right here, where it's
Yeah.
Harford SB, the left side of your vehicle that you've got a picture of.
Left side.
They're
Okay.
actually a little bit behind this vehicle, are 3 flex posts that sit right there. So
Okay.
this lane, you cannot get into this lane until you cross Helen Road. Because Helen Road is.
Oh, okay. I know what's happening.
And then there's this one, so you're taking this lane, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So now you've got 2 turning lanes. You're gonna have to get rid of second turning lane, but regardless, if you're gonna do this bus bump out, I think we should be out there. We should be out there when school gets out and you see the buses, the people, the cars. Even though I need to turn, I will come
Gonna go online then,
Yeah. We can definitely do community walk, not post that, and yeah, for every project before we start. And again, right, timing is key in this, but we do field walks to scope the area. And yeah, I've been on this for work. Like, we have fields. They're still north of Harford Road, so I've done this multiple times a day at different times of day to go to different sites for Harford Road on also various forms of transit. So I'm very fine with coming out for, a community walk and all to make.
And we should do it before you sign the paper.
Oh, sorry. Site visit. Oh,
Yeah, to see what,
okay. Yeah.
yeah, that's what I really want. And also, when kids are in school, so like it can't be now.
As in, can we make it when it's more active? I'll care. I'll care.
You're gonna do all the step the plan and then you'll be like, oh, we see the problem, but we're gonna have to live with it. So I want this to happen before, so that you're informed by this. It informs the plans, not be like, oh shit, that's what we after the fact. So I don't want to be too late. I don't want you all too far down the road. And like everybody's, she's gonna have me, I'm gonna, I don't bike at all. Can't bike. But do drive, but do live on 30. Like I do this little turn that but that is me.
While you don't bike, the biking infrastructure is going to be there, so we got to figure out how to live with it.
Well, I mean, there's no problem that's on the property. Because I will take you to the back.
Well, they already put it there. So I'm saying it's not
Yeah,
going anywhere.
it's
So
not,
now
yeah,
it's like you
true.
got to figure out how to move around it.
I don't have a problem with biking.
Yeah.
I think it's a good place for biking. Biking makes sense. But, if nobody's happy, well, that it's just wasted money.
Christine Parker just says, with some of the feedback from the bikers, it would be great to see a diagram from what bikers are supposed to be in the whole stretch in both directions. I often wonder the same thing, where I'm supposed to be and where I'm out safest, where's the safest. Jeremy says, can you say something about the bike lane southbound Harford, north of the bridge?
A lot going on.
So like,
I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
Can you repeat the question?
yeah, request for
Oh, a diag.
like a diagram for bicyclists. And then a question about north of Harper Bridge, the
Southbound side,
Southbound side of the bridge.
both of the bridge.
Yeah. I could try to make a diagram. I'm actually wondering if like, and I thought this myself as like, safe biker. Yeah. Yeah, so I guess I don't have a specific one on the Harford Road Bridge, and I don't know exactly what the specific ask is. But I guess, yeah, refer to the streets of Baltimore.
I believe he's asking more of a bike route. Like, what is it supposed to do? So,
Oh, and there.
what is it supposed to do? And then it's really, I think that's the confusion that they're asking about. What do I do once I come down Harford Road southbound, even on your northbound side? What do I do? I think that's what he's asking.
I have to orient myself here. Okay, yeah,
Read it again.
yeah. Sorry, we're below Montebello, then you cross, and then yeah. Okay, so how would you get? I believe.
Starting at Park side, but coming
Yeah. So
On the map again, so.
well, that's not.
north of the map.
Yeah, or
Talking
no.
about north of the bridge. So if you're
It'll
headed
show-
south,
show
They're they're talking about north of this project down, and I'd have to look at like Google Maps. So exactly. Yeah, that might be the. Yeah, that's a good. Yeah, please send us an email Okay. Yeah, please send us an email or a question on that. Also just real quick, like we can try to fit the community walk in, but I cannot promise a delay of project for that. Just to be transparent. I want to do that beforehand, but we got to work to our schedule and, we can be as informed as possible. We've been here before. I've driven the corridor, I've walked the corridor, so
Give us some dates.
I can pull my prior project schedule. Moving forward. Yeah.
The first and a half. Yeah. Is it possible for you to?
So in regards to the last statement, there will be a community law, right? We're going to make certain of that DOT, because nothing's going to happen until we actually get out there and physically see it. So I just want to be clear on that. Secondly, we're looking for a tranquil transportation experience. We've been looking at this since the days of Al Fox. And we think that whether you're a pedestrian, whether you're a biker, or whether you're in a car, when you're coming through this particular stretch of roadway, you are in a residential area as well as a park. That should be a tranquil, leisurely drive, not a race. Pedestrians shouldn't feel threatened. Bikers shouldn't feel threatened. To Mr. Moses' point, we're trying to reduce stress points all through this area, not heighten. Now, with that being said, there's going to be an increase in vehicular and pedestrian traffic in that area. As Morgan's coming, as the stadium is about to be built, we're going to work on the band shell repairs, and we have 10 units on Harford Road directly opposite the park that we're going to break ground on for rehab next year. In addition to that, there'll be 110 units of new housing going up starting next summer. And so this piece of the puzzle has to fit that entire puzzle as we look to move traffic from Morgan's northern campus, pedestrian, bike, some vehicular, all the way through to its southern campus at the old Lake Clifton complex. Along the way, those roadways and pathways that once existed that have now been either covered up or eliminated through poor planning have to be reopened and investigated. And so the only way you're going to see that and know that is to actually come out there and see what has been lost. As far as the plan that we put forth to DOT back in the days of Al Fox, the plan was essentially to come down Harford Road, St. Louis Drive, continue down all the way to the Hopkins area, the Fells Point throughout the city. I think you all are basically sticking to that idea now. I'm glad to see that it's risen somewhat up to the top. But along these ways, understand neighborhoods are looking at this as a way to improve the quality of life for residents that actually live there, in addition to making sure that those who are biking through the neighborhood are safe. So we've got a lot to do. We will be walking before anything is done. And we're going to lay eyes on everything so that you all can see, because what we cannot do is go back to the issues we had in and around Lake Montebello, 33rd Street, Dillon Road, the Alameda, where we constantly had to keep coming back out to DOT to correct stuff that we had said should have been addressed from the beginning. So thanks.
Okay. Thank you. And I think we have time for one last comment after this.
Ask Chris.
Sorry, I'll be quick.
You're listening.
Okay, real quick. This might be a moot point. I was thinking about the bus bulb in St. Lo. Is it possible the MTA would be willing to the bus stop south of St. Lo, where you have that additional lane, basically take away what would be a couple of parking spots there, set it back enough to allow for daylighting for St. Lo. That way you don't have that conflict point from the north side of St. Lo. it might be a moot point if the bus lines do not run north of Harford Road that use it though. So just a thought.
Yeah, I do understand what you're saying. I can reach out to MT, but something tells me that there's something north of St. Lo. I mean, those are very heavily used bus stops, so I'm trusting a little bit on the MTA as well, but we can always reach out and ask, right? Like MTA is still also people.
So, yes,
So we're
Yeah.
currently engaged in the conversation with MTA right now.
Mm-hmm.
As we're pale. So right now, we're looking at Kirk Avenue corridor, Alameda, where the 22 comes from 54.
Mm-hmm.
Reason being is that we have to plan for the immediate future, also when City College returns.
Mhm.
City College comes back to that area, there's a lot of pedestrian traffic going up and down North Avenue. Kids will migrate to where 22 makes a turn from the Alameda onto Harford Road. And so we're looking at having MTA realign the bus stops so that A, it's a little safer for the kids, and then B, it's less of an impact on residential property, because all of that is impacted once all these schools come back to the area. It's the reason that on Harford Road across from Mother's Garden, must have been about 10 years or so ago, we put up the median, the divider and the median to keep the kids from running all out. And if you've been up there recently, you've seen that someone's already crashed into that. And that's just a reoccurring occurrence that it's far too often. So the gentleman's right. We've met with MTA a couple of weeks ago with BPD and representatives from DOT. We're at that meeting. So I think the gentleman's right. All of it needs to be looked at.
Okay. Yeah, we'll know that. Okay. And then do you want to check online?
Yeah, do we have a comment from the councilman? She was just saying good night. Since we have another second, I know you had your hand raised.
Hold up, yes. Tell her.
Everyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hi, this is Yaslin with Councilwoman Ramos's office. I just wanted to mention that our office can help with an on-site meeting. We can bring in MTA, we can bring in BPD, gather DOT. I know that the holidays are coming up, but the councilwoman can make herself available to an on-site meeting. And if the community wants it, then the councilwoman will want to do the on-site meeting. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be a great offer we'd like to take up.
Yeah, we'd love to coordinate.
Hi, I'm
Okay.
Christina. I'm still here. Sorry, I didn't actually jump off, but continue, Yasmin. Sorry.
No, you're good. Yeah, I can put an email together. I don't know what DOT's availability is before the holidays, but we can certainly try to figure that out or do it the first week of January.
Kids are in school, so that we can see that traffic.
The comment
Yeah.
was, well,
You said about 3:00, right?
I'm just saying school is gonna end soon for us for Christmas. So
Yeah.
we don't get that.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Yes. Can you have them here?
A little bit. Can someone move? Can whoever's speaking move closer to the mic or the device?
Okay, we go right.
And it may be of interest for us to look at during the entry as well as dismissal. Because it's, that kind of traffic congestion, particularly in and around
that Urban Avenue, 32nd Street corridor is a very special thing to see. So that way they get an idea of what the morning rush looks like as well as the evening rush.
Okay, that's fine. We can do that. Morning is easier for the councilwoman.
Awesome, we can coordinate that. And one last,
One last question. Once you have created the final plan and it is created and implemented, what measures are you using to know that it is safer, it is better for the community, and then what does that look like? And if not, if it didn't provide improvements, what would be the plan?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. I think, okay. I think the biggest thing would be road safety. So the crashes, are we seeing a decrease of crashes and all that would be number one. Number two might be like target speed, and that just might be like, again, like that speed diary shows. And are we balancing speed kind of in the right way? I think those would be probably the two biggest. And if we need to like adjust whether that's either increase or decrease measures, right? We would have to, that would be a discussion kind of with my supervisors and like the chief level. Basically, we would have to identify a funding source to then do further action. So, yeah, no problem.
thank you all so much. It was so important to hear everything that everyone said. Thank you for coming out in the cold while there's a basketball game. This is the end. Safe journeys home. Happy holidays.
So, where's your mama from?
Mother-in-law, Melrose, Mass.
Okay,
Yeah, very good.
Real quickly. So,